The preparations for the Brisbane 2032 Olympic Games are in shambles, and we're quickly running out of time to start major construction projects to be ready for this massive event. One of the biggest catastrophes is the main Olympic Stadium. The current plan to redevelop QSAC is a joke. That just can't be the option that Brisbane serves up for this world-class sporting event. It just would be an international embarrassment. I think that the best three options are the Gabba redevelopment, the Victoria Park Stadium, and Northshore Hamilton Stadium. Let's take a look at all of these options and decide which one is most likely to become the main Olympic stadium at the Brisbane 2032 Games. I'm Mel Pikos, and today we're talking tactics. How did we get here? The timeline for the selection of the main Olympic stadium is very convoluted, so here's a quick recap. In 2021, Brisbane won the rights to host the Olympics in 2032, the longest lead up to a Games ever awarded. The Gabba was announced to be the main stadium for the opening and closing ceremonies, as well as the athletics. It was to be redeveloped for $1 billion, with its seating capacity increased from 42,000 to 50,000. The government faced strong opposition as it would see the removal of the neighbouring East Brisbane State School. It was then revealed that the $1 billion cost was plucked from thin air, and a more accurate $2.7 billion price tag was announced in 2023. Arguments fired up over who was to pay for the upgrade to the RNA Showgrounds Arena, which was tipped to temporarily host the AFL and cricket during the Gabba redevelopment. Lord Mayor Adrian Schrinner quit the Intergovernmental Leaders Committee, a body established to guide decisions on the Games, due to closed-door decisions being made by the Labor state government without proper consultation. In late 2023, Anastasia Palaszczuk resigned as Queensland Premier due to the unions threatening to pull their funding from her campaign. Then union officials backed Stephen Miles in to take the reins, and he ordered a fresh review of all the venues proposed for the Games. The Sports Venue Review, headed by former Liberal Lord Mayor Graham Quirk, recommended building a new stadium at Victoria Park for $3.4 billion. Immediately, Stephen Miles rejected this recommendation and instead decided to renovate QSAC, a stadium that will be 50 years old by the time the Olympics come around. QSAC would host the athletics, and Suncorp Stadium would host the opening and closing ceremonies, after some improvements there, and at the Gabba as well. So that's where we're at. A whole mismatched plan everywhere across Brisbane. The plan to upgrade QSAC, frankly, is a joke. I don't think I even need to elaborate too much. The seating capacity is pitiful. There's zero legacy benefits. The not actually cheaper price tag, and the woeful public transport. And when tourists arrive to watch the Games, what will they do in the area? Visit the Mount Gravatt Cemetery and Crematorium immediately next door, or the Namaste Astrology Centre down the road? Maybe we can all kick on at the Griffith Uni Bar, or walk a few kilometres down to the Sunnybank Hotel for a few 4X golds. No doubt we're going to live up to our name of not being smart enough to spell beer with that kind of performance. It all sounds like a really bad joke, but this is the current plan that Brisbane is going to deliver under the Miles administration for the Olympic Games in 2032. But Queensland is going to the polls on the 26th of October 2024, and the winner of this election will be in charge of the state for the next 4 years. Whoever wins will be in charge of finalising the plan for the Brisbane Olympic venues. Right now, Sportsbet currently has the odds of the Liberals winning the election at $1.20 versus Labor at $5. That suggests we will likely see a change of government and David Crisafulli as our next Premier. And he has promised to action a 100-day review into the Olympics on his first day in office if elected. I think this is an opportunity for us to refresh our thinking on the Games, what our legacy will be, and how we plan to present ourselves to the world. So let's take a look at the three options I think will be in contention for the main stadium in this potential 100-day review. Option 1, Northshore Hamilton. You might have seen some images recently of a brand new stadium out at Northshore Hamilton, and it looks pretty spectacular. This new stadium proposal comes from the Brisbane Design Alliance, a consortium of global architects and planners, and includes HKS Architects, who previously designed SoFi Stadium in LA and AT&T Stadium for the Dallas Cowboys, both spectacular stadiums. The stadium concept itself is a very curved, flowing design and would have a capacity for 60,000 seats with a cutout section revealing breathtaking views back towards the Brisbane CBD. There would also be a 2,500 apartment athletes village, pedestrian walkways along and across the river, an aquatic and wave pool centre, and a retail and restaurant hub. It includes plans for an additional 12,000 residential dwellings after the games, leaving a lasting legacy for the community. The site does have the space, and much of the precinct is already owned by Economic Development Queensland, a state government agency, so effectively it's all state government owned land. There's no doubt that this is an incredible looking piece of architecture and would make for an iconic structure in Brisbane with international recognition. But similar to QSAC, one of the massive drawbacks is the lack of transport. I don't see spectators all piling on to city cats to get out there. The recently announced Brisbane Metro upgrades would help with the planned extension out to Doomben, but I'm not sure if that's quite enough. I've previously proposed extending the Brisbane Metro and creating a loop that goes around the city and connects all the inner city precincts, and a new bridge connecting from Bulimba to Northshore Hamilton. This could greatly increase connectivity out there. A mass transit option such as rail would likely be needed for the amount of spectators, and the Doomben train line just isn't up to the challenge. Extending that line out to Portside and North Shore would probably annoy the locals, and there would be a few complications around creating another train line that would be infrequently serviced. That line is currently only a single track. Major upgrades would be needed to double it to make regular train services possible. Another expensive infrastructure project with limited use post-event outside of match days. The price tag sits at around about $6 billion, but the Brisbane Design Alliance has stated that they could build this stadium using private funds at little to no cost to the taxpayer at all. They just want the land for free. Premier Stephen Miles did push back against this, however, and said, "I think it is highly unlikely that you could build this stadium using private funds. It would require a very significant investment of state taxpayer dollars and resources. So any proposal here that this could be built for free, I think is probably misleading Queenslanders." I think he's largely correct here, but I would say that what they are asking for is a big tract of land for free, so they're obviously trying to offset the $6 billion stadium cost by having a whole bunch of development land that they could deliver, which is obviously going to be extremely valuable land if this stadium goes ahead and really creates a precinct around this structure. While this would certainly be an impressive and iconic venue for the 2032 games, I personally think that it's got a few challenges in getting approved in time. Option 2, the Victoria Park Stadium. Graham Quirk's Sport Venue Review made the key recommendation to demolish the Gabba and build a brand new stadium at Victoria Park in the central suburb of Spring Hill, right next door to the CBD. Again, you might have seen images or rough plans of what this could look like. From my understanding, the images seen online were from an architectural firm called Archipelago, but the Graham Quirk review was referencing a totally different stadium design from Blight Rayner Architects. There has been some confusion between what was actually proposed at Victoria Park in the media. I haven't been able to find extensive images of the Blight Rayner plan online, except for rough images in this old lecture. So I will show images from the Archipelago designs, but do keep in mind that these are different to what was recommended by the Graham Quirk review. This stadium here would seat up to 55,000 people and would become the new home of the AFL and cricket, allowing for a smooth transition with no displacement of these teams and no need to move them to a temporary stadium. It also has good public transport access with the exhibition station nearby and significant connectivity opportunities with the current network, Cross River Rail and Brisbane Metro. One of the key concerns against this proposal is utilising public parkland for a stadium. I think it's worth noting that the Sports Venue Review stated that only around 12 to 13% of the park would be used by the stadium. It's also quite an underutilised section of parkland, so I don't think we're actually going to miss out by losing 12 to 13%. And effectively, I would call stadium and infrastructure public use space anyway. Then the cost. $3.4 billion. It's more expensive than the $2.7 billion touted for the Gabba option and the QSAC upgrade, but the review justified this by saying the cost of a stadium in Victoria Park, $3 to $3.4 billion, is likely to be marginally more expensive than the full Gabba rebuild, more than $3 billion predicted. I agree with that. I think it would blow out to more than $2.7 billion, with better operational efficiencies and outcomes that would deliver a true international standard venue, enabling Brisbane to compete with other top stadiums in Australia and generate additional premium seating revenue. In my opinion, I think this is a great option and will likely be the preferred option in a review period after the Queensland election. It's located close to the city centre. It will have a great backdrop showcasing Brisbane, and there's a decent public transport network to support it. And we'd have a stadium used not only by the AFL and cricket, but allowing for other massive international sporting matches or performances. My only concern is I'd personally love to see it be a 70 to 75,000 seat capacity stadium. I'm sure all the Taylor Swift fans would agree. We need a venue big enough to pull major international events. Option 3, the Gabba redevelopment. I think there's still a possibility that the Gabba redevelopment happens. As it currently stands, the Gabba is nearing its end of life, and one way or another, it needs to be replaced. Stephen Miles and David Crisafulli have both promised no new stadiums, and I think that the Gabba redevelopment would be a convenient excuse for both of them to say, well, it's actually a redevelopment of the Gabba, not a new stadium. So it gives them a get out of jail free card for both politicians. I think it makes sense for the Olympics to be the catalyst event that makes the Gabba redevelopment happen. Otherwise, we're just going to have to pull it down in a few years anyway, and we won't have any event like the Olympics helping to pay or offset some of the cost of it. But I've got a better idea. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you've probably heard my pitch for the Gabba 2.0 before. We leave the Gabba where it is, ensuring both AFL and cricket can continue playing. We build a new 70,000 seat super stadium across the road, directly above Cross River Rail and Metro Station, and connect it back to the Pacific motorway, allowing better integration with neighbouring South Bank. The AFL and the cricket move into this new facility, and the old Gabba is demolished, replaced with the Athletes Village, which becomes social and affordable housing after the games. This central location at Wollongabba will create an ideal Olympic precinct. Athletes will benefit from easy access to key venues across the city, and spectators will have incredible public transport access to the main Olympic Stadium. And don't forget that awesome backdrop with the CBD, South Bank, really showcasing a lot of our major tourism assets. And the new 70,000 seat stadium will position Brisbane to host major international events previously beyond our reach. I know that the combined Brisbane Metro Cross River Rail station at Wollongabba has recently been quashed, and that seems to be due to the fact that the Gabba will no longer be the main Olympic stadium. But I don't think it's too late to go back. Keep Wollongabba Cross River Rail and combined Metro station, and keep the Gabba as the home of the Brisbane Olympics. But what do you think? Whilst I personally prefer the Gabba as a site for a new stadium, to be honest, I'm happy if Northshore, Hamilton or Victoria Park get up. Any of these three options are better than QSAC. Do you think that Stephen Miles has got it right and we should renovate QSAC at Nathan? Should we build a new stadium or just renovate our existing venues? Do you like Vic Park, North Shore, Hamilton or the Gabba? Let me know in the comments section down below. I've got a very special guest on my next episode of Talking Tactics, Leader of the Opposition, David Crisafulli MP. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel so you can see what David has planned if he becomes the next Premier of Queensland. That's it for today. I'm Pikos, and we've been Talking Tactics.